Well, it's time for MAME, and as you all know, July is MAME month. We will kick off our call for entries on July 1st on the website. This year we're going to be using a new, different system. It's a system that we use actually for all our awards programs around the country. We have 14 awards programs now around the country that all roll up into the National Sales and Marketing Awards. And so we use that same system so that everything is applicable, so that everything is nicely tied, so you can submit here for Sacramento, MAME, and then automatically we'll save all your goods. And if you want to go into nationals, all you do is click a button and receive an invoice. So it's really time efficient. It's a great way of doing it. And literally, I'm going to say the batting average of an entry that is rolled over from a local to the national is about a 50-50 chance of winning. And the good news is that's a pretty darn good batting average when you look at it. So we always like to say, think about that as you're making your decisions on your submittals for the future. Is this something I want to take to nationals? Because then you can structure it and write it that way and prepare it. Just so you know, there are two separate groups of judges for the Sacramento MAME here, and then a totally separate group of judges that meet in October, or actually November this year, for the nationals. So fresh eyes, fresh group, you never know what's going to happen. So that's an opportunity for you guys for this year. So we're excited to have that. Today, we're going to go through the steps to enter. We're going to talk about the new process. We're going to talk about putting the entry together for those folks who haven't done it before. We're going to kind of go through and do some just some highlight tips. We're going to talk about what the judges are looking for. We're actually going to see an entry that we have presented and how it's presented to the judges, so you can get an idea of the amount of time that they have to look at something and to digest it and understand it. We're going to talk about the things not to do and what to do. And also, you guys are gonna have lots of questions, and we're gonna be here to answer them for you. But the other thing that I wanted to really give you guys information is on the front of your handout today, and also that you can download from the website, is our contact information. We are your resource. We are your advocate. We are here to help you at any time. So if for some reason you're going along and there's not one of, in the samples, not one of the categories that is covered that you're gonna be submitting for, call us. We'll send you sample entries, we'll walk you through it, we'll talk to you, we'll counsel you, because we really feel that recognition is the best, and we really want to be, see you on the stage picking up one of those trophies. So we're here to help. First thing we want to talk about is the important dates. As you know, July is May month. On July 1st, we will be posting the entry application so you can start putting your entries in. But the eligibility qualification period is any project candidate or company from January 1st of 2016 through July 31st of 2017. So basically, it's an 18-month period, I believe that is. So that's the time span. Judging is going to take place the 8th, 9th, and 10th of August. And why we're telling you that is that on the 9th, we will be touring the Community of the Year candidates. So we will alert you if you're submitting for Community of the Year that about the time we'll be judging and coming by, so that you can alert your on-site staff, hey, listen, there's a van full of people who are going to pull up in front of your office, and they're going to walk in, and they're not crazy, and they just need 5 minutes of your time, and then they'll be on their way. And then on the 10th, if you are submitting for personal achievement or professional achievement, we will be doing and conducting interviews here at the BIA offices. So if you have a candidate that you're going to be submitting, please check with them and find out their plans for August 10th. Find out if they're going to be in town. Find out if they're available. And if they're not for some reason, that's okay. We can do interviews by FaceTime and by phone, but it's always better to do it in person. So you might want to clear it with them ahead of time. Because obviously when they get the notification of their interview time, they go, well, wait a minute, I'm on vacation in Jamaica. And you're like, oh, darn. And we have done actual video conferences from a pool chair in Jamaica, and she did win. So she was very convincing. September 15th is MAME. Put it on your calendar, mark it down. You all want to be there. It's going to be the party of the century. So as we go through, we're going to talk about the categories, requirements, and what's new. And again, we do have a two-step entry process. So our first process, and what we want to talk about is, as you're going back and you're considering what you're going to enter this year, this is really the step one, is consider it almost like you're going to go back to your office and create like a MAME war room. You're going to go back and you're going to say, okay, what are the products? What are the process? What are the people? Who this year is something that stands out as something that we want our company to be recognized for, known for, or we want to promote in the industry? Because that's just it. MAME is just like the Academy Awards. The reason they have the Academy Awards is so that we all go to the movies. MAME is just that. It can be used in that same genre to get consumers to come to our communities or for our people to be recognized in the same manner. So you want to go back and you want to look at it with a strategic outlook. You want to decide what you're going to submit, what categories, and then decide, do we need photography? Do we need to call a photographer and get that photographer out there? What do we need in order to put these entries together? Once you have that done and you have that list of categories and you know where you're headed, that's when you're going to go into the entry system and you're going to start putting your entries in. And what that's going to do, it's a very simple system. It literally is a drop-down menu. And it has it's very interpretive. You pull down the entry list and it'll tell you the categories. You'll select category, you'll put in the project's name, its location, the builder who's attached to it, and the associate who should receive credits. Okay, so if you're doing an interior merchandising category, it would be the builder and the interior merchandiser. If it's an ad category, builder and ad agency. Whoever should be receiving credits for that award. Now, if you're doing professional achievement, you're going to probably leave those associate category, that field empty. You could put NA, or you need to put something in there because the system makes you fill the field, which is fine. But for the builder, definitely put the builder who that person is representing, okay, or the company. If it's not a builder, and that's the one little trick, is if it's a non-builder category, go ahead and put the company that they are representing for Fidelity, any of the mortgage companies, and so forth. Okay? Once you do that, you'll notice that there's a little button up there that says Add Another Project. Okay, that's a great tool because you can literally add another project or another community or another person, so you can do this as one transaction. Here's the one Achilles heel to this system. If you add one too many projects, you can't delete it. You got to start all over. And I'm really sorry. That really is a bummer. It's one of my little hiccups in my system, but that's why I bring it up to you so that you are very aware as you're going through. Once you get it all put together, it's auto-calculating. You put in your billing information. You hit submit, and you'll see this screen that says, congratulations, you've done it. Now get to work on your entries. What will happen is immediately you will get an email back from the system with all of your entry numbers. Why this is important is that this is a blind judging, okay? The judges do not know you or the entries as the name of the project or the person. They know you as those numbers. 014109 is now what that number is, okay? The first two digits are the category number. The last four digits are the serial number, okay? That's going to be very important because, as I said, that's how we tie this all together. In this email, you'll see it gives you all the instructions on how to put the things together. You're going to submit everything this year through a file sharing service rather than uploading it into a system. Once you get all your materials together in your folders, just as though you were putting them in folders on your desktop, you're then going to gang them into one main folder, and that one main folder can be named with your company name. It can be KB Homes MAME 2017 entries. At that point, you can send them in through Dropbox, WeTransfer, FTP, whichever file sharing service you prefer. Once you have it all done, you share that link to me at my email address. We get it, we download it, we double check it for you. You're all set, and it's off and on, away we go. The one.
Use their email address with their bosses.
Oh yes, when you're submitting. Thank you, Shane, for reminding me of that. Sometimes folks will go in and they'll put in someone else's email as the contact name and not their own, but they're the person who's going to be submitting the entry. The email goes to that email address. So then what I'll get is, oh, they sent it to Chris's email address, but I really need it. He's out today, so can you send it to me because I'm going to get started. So then we will send it. But put your own contact information in there so that you get it immediately. The good news about this system is, and this happens all the time, which is pretty crazy, 1 o'clock in the morning, entries will be coming in because somebody woke up and started to, or wanted to work. I don't know. So it's 24/7. You can do it on Sunday whenever you guys feel like doing it. And the good news is it goes all the way up to midnight on July 31st. So at 11 o'clock on July 31st, if you go, oh, dang, we have that brochure we want to submit, you can still get it in. So that's the good news on that. Numbering is extraordinarily important. As you can see in the entry folders, this is a sample of submitting a gang folder. You'll want to number all of your folders with the entry serial number. This one only had a 2-digit serial number, so that's just so you can see that. Make sure that when you submit and you send it via Dropbox or any other file, that you don't put your originals in there and then share the folder to me. Because in Dropbox, I don't know if you guys all know this, when you pull it down in a shared folder, now I've taken those files and they're now mine. They're no longer in the shared folder. And then I get 2 weeks later, oh no, those were all my original marketing files and I don't have them and I need a brochure. Okay, then I've got to go find them and put them all back because they all get pulled back down. So I always warn people, please share a link to me. I'll download them. It's totally fine. Don't share the entire folder to me. It works out better. That was some very strange phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. So here are the main tips that I'll impart to you. Start early. Go back, make that strategy, decide what you're going to submit for, and look at this as a business opportunity. Just as though you were out trying to put together a business development proposal. Take it seriously. Doing your homework at the last minute never turns out well, okay? If you strive for a B, you're going to get a B. If you strive for an A, more than likely you're going to show through. The judges that are sitting in that room are just like you. They are your contemporaries, okay? They're your contemporaries from another market who are coming here to spend 3 days with pure heart, reviewing the materials, judging them, and you want to be respectful of their time, so you want to give your best effort in putting those entries together and striving for the best. Photography, get the best you can afford. We take up to 8 images for every entry, so use that wisely. That doesn't mean you have to have all 8, but 8 is the max, and so use that, take that to your advantage. In your statements, know your audience. Speak in professional terms. This isn't a flowery consumer, ad. You're going to be, hey, listen, this is what I was trying to achieve. This is how well it worked. This was our objective. We actually ended up netting 7 sales from this ad. Or we drove this much traffic. Or we had this many leads. That's the qualifier that helps them determine whether or not this was successful. If it's a floor plan or if it's a home, hey, listen, this floor plan, it hit the market. We were going towards, a first-time buyer or an empty nester buyer. It hit it. We sold 10 homes on our first phase release. Give us that information. This is a sales and marketing awards program, so that helps. For professional achievement, imagine that those folks, okay, I'm going to go back, sorry. Those folks, that form is their introduction letter, okay? The judges don't judge from that form that you're going to fill out that tells their story, that gives the information. They are actually using that to understand who that person is, get a little bit of relevance about why they should win the award. But then when that person comes in to have that interview, they're going to be asked 3 questions. Those 3 questions are, Shane?
What you're most proud of, what was your biggest challenge, and what was your biggest success?
Those are the same 3 questions that are asked of every single candidate. And normally what will happen is, those are leading questions, they will be more than happy to share what they went through in this last year. And it really is amazing how someone can shine and explain something to you. I also like to suggest, when you're submitting someone for professional achievement, share with them the statement that you've written about them so that they have a form of reference. Never fails. They'll write something like, a story of something that happened, and the judge may touch on it and say, hey, well, would you tell me about that school redistricting that you had in your community? And they'll be like, what? They told you about that? Yeah, it's good for them to have that from a reference. So give them the courtesy of giving them that information.
Blanket statements.
Blanket statements, that's a very good point. A lot of folks, when you're doing multiple statements across many categories, they'll be like, oh, I have 27 categories. It's all the same project. I'll just write one statement. It'll cover everything. No, that doesn't bode well for the judges, because by the time you get to the 12th one and you've heard the same thing 12 times, they literally say, stop reading. And then you get to that resentment level. So write each statement. You might have the top, that little introduction, which might remind them that this is that same project. But then write the statement to the category which you're submitting. If you're submitting for a brochure, talk about the brochure. If you're submitting for a sales office, talk about that sales office. This is a view of what our judging system looks like with the 8 images across. This is what we call our overview. We go through the entries 3 times with the judges. First time through, we go through with the overview view, and we give them the highlights of the project. This project is located in Lone Tree, Colorado. It's for a move-up buyer. It's priced at $620,000, and it's 3,200 square feet. And we'll go through all, maybe there's 10, maybe there's 5 entries in that category. Then when we go back through on the second pass through, this is a sample in real time of what it's like in the judging. Okay, so let's take a look at entry 4304, located in Lone Tree. This home is targeted towards young professionals and families with a base price of $669,000. Square footage is 5,686 square feet. Beautiful inside and out. The attention to detail in this house is unparalleled. From carefully selected materials and color on the exterior to a well thought out livable floor plan inside, this house has it all. The open rail stair wows upon entry, but once around the corner, the glassed-in studies tucked below the stairs steals the show. The light and bright great room, designed to capture the beautiful views with expansive windows, opens to an infinity kitchen, which perfectly conceals a butler's pantry. An extra-large island, perfect for entertaining or casual meals, anchors the kitchen and provides extra counter space. The master suite screams luxury with its private covered balcony, fireplace, oversized walk-in closet, and a spa bath. Upstairs, a multifunctional loft is a perfect place for crafts or homework. All outdoor spaces in this home are oriented towards the stunning mountain views because that's exactly why we live here in Colorado. Let's have a discussion now on this plan, judges, and our thoughts. So that is literally real time of how we'll go through it. Now the judges will then take it and they'll discuss the floor plan. They'll say, hey, did you notice this? Did you notice that? But as you notice, what we did is we were walking through that entry. The person who wrote the statement literally as though they were walking someone through the home. They pointed out all the key features, the railing and the stairs, the little office underneath the stairs, the great room, the island in the kitchen, the luxurious master suite, the nook, and then why their outdoor spaces were oriented towards the back for the views. They spoke to the images. They didn't talk about things we couldn't see, like the charming little girl's room, which we can't see. So those are highlights if you're doing an interior merchandising or an architecture category. Point out the features. Except for the bathroom. That was the one Achilles heel for this when they talked about a spotlight master bath, but we didn't get to see it. So what they did is they said, oh, well, we can see it here on the floor plan. It's a 5-piece bath. You know, it's great. So that's almost what we consider almost a perfect read. So, and some folks, when they're doing their marketing statements, they will literally write slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, and I'll literally say that, and then Shane will know when to go to the next image. Bullet points work really well. So again, it's drawing that professional eye back to what you were trying to achieve with that product. So that's just a real life sample of how fast that goes by. So again, for your professional achievement entries, really what you want to do is highlight what that person did within the period. Now, we always like to say, doing your job, you earn a paycheck. You earn an award for doing something more above and beyond. Explain what that is more above and beyond. We had one entry come in a couple years ago, and it was, well, Sally opened the sales office every day. She answered the phones. She did her follow-up calls. She was there for her customers, and she had a really good year. So, she sold $10 million. So she's really deserving. And one of the judges literally said, that's doing her job, and that's why she gets paid. That's not why she wins a MAME award. So explain, hey, but Sally, here's the deal. Sally had no sales office, or Sally was selling, off of floor plans because everything was delayed. And by the way, she had a first-time buyer who had a lot of issues, and so she had to handhold them through the mortgage process and get them, get everything done. Those are the elements that set you apart, and explain it to the judges. Hey, this was tough. We had one gal in the Bay Area who she had a really nice project, but it was on the other side of the street from the good school district, literally across the street from the good school district. And so she had a real challenge because the buyers would come in and they go, okay, so I'm going to be in the Mount Diablo school district. They said, oh, I'm sorry, no, you're in the Pleasantville school district. Well, we need to be in the Mount Diablo because that's why we're moving here. So she went back to her builder. She went back to talk to them about the community. They went to the school board, and they told them, hey, listen, we have 65 houses. We're probably going to have this many kids. Is there any way that you can annex this community into that school district? Because really there's no one to supply it on this one, and they're going to have to be bused. She made the whole case. She led the charge. She got her community redistricted into the good school district. What an awesome story, though, right? She took it upon herself because she knew she was doing something great for her buyer. So those are those behind the scenes, behind the music stories that really stand out. So think of those elements as you're putting it together. Oh, yes. Thank you, Shane, for reminding me. So as you can see here, we have 3 different photos here. We have Clint. Clint was, they went out to his sales office. They took his iPhone picture. And they got it done. See Ann in the middle. She's got the professional shot. And then you can see our third gal on the right. That was her group photo, and we had to crop everybody else out. Okay? Here's the deal. These are your friends. These are your contemporaries, your friends that you're working with. Give them the due of providing them with a decent photo that's going to be shown on that screen at the MAME Awards, and it's going to be online. Don't make me have to go hunt down their LinkedIn picture that's this big and it's going to be all pixelated out. It doesn't work. Think about that. Ask them to provide you with an image, or go out and get one for them. Y'all have iPhones. iPhones take 90% of all the pictures now in the world. You can take a decent picture. And that portrait mode's really awesome if you've got the 7. So get that done. But yeah, it never fails. You always end up with like the person who sold $50 million in sales this year, and her picture is this big. So Chris knows that story. Oh yeah, how many times have you had to deal with that? It's no fun. This year we have a new category. It's best graphic continuity. The difference between best logo and best graphic continuity they're totally different. Logo, we're really looking for setting the branding, the tone, the identity for a community. Graphic continuity is really how everything hung together once everything was put together. Your signage, your brochure, your website, your banners, your letterhead, your e-blasts. And it's actually one of the greatest categories because you can see how something took life. So take a look at that one. It's a great opportunity, and it's really fun. This is a great example of how to put together an entry. They didn't use all 8 images, but they put it all on one. They ganged it so that we could see how everything hung together. And I thought that was a really strong presentation. So consider that when you're putting your entries together. Think about that presentation, okay? What the judges are going to look for. I mean, this is a very impressive submittal.
How's it different from overall ad?
Different from overall ad category is this really what we're looking at is how they graphically hung together. And an overall advertising category, what you're going to talk about there is results. Okay, we had this much traffic, this many clicks, all of the elements that led to an actual sale. So for social media, digital marketing, websites, this year we have a new category, digital sales tool, which is a direct connection to the nationals. If you have a point of sale sales tool in your sales office, or if you have any other virtual reality or any other elements of that you're selling ahead of time, that's a submittal for that category. What we're looking for in social media, digital media, and websites is, yes, the judges want to see what the creative look like, but really what they want is the meat. They want to know, okay, so for your social media, it's really pretty, but did it achieve anything? Never fails, you'll go to somebody's social media because they'll stalk you. The judges will stalk you. They'll go look you up. They'll go friend you and like you and send the registrations in, and they'll see how long it takes you to respond to them. We're still waiting for one from the Nationals. That was really pretty funny. That was last November. But they'll go to your Facebook page and they'll go, oh, well, they have 70 followers, or they have 10 tweets, or they have 12 pins. This is not a robust campaign. They will look you up. But what they want to know is what are you trying to achieve? What is the goal here? So if you have social media, who are you going after? Are you reaching out to bloggers who are talking and being influencers to get people to come to your community? With your websites, how are you outbounding? What are your digital emails, and what are your banner ads that are driving traffic in? How are you getting those impressions, and how well is it working? How many leads is that taking to your online sales counselor, and how many appointments are getting set up? That's the type of meat we're trying to look for in those categories. So it's not just how pretty it is, but how well it's reacting. Signage is a great category. The reason I want to show this to you guys is this is just one of those. It was a great signage campaign, but they also shot it really well. And that's just it, showcasing the difference of it and focusing on it. This is shot a little bit too tight, but I thought it was, and then they explained why they did the cutouts, the different metals that they used, and the target market of a family market. So another great category. So this is an entry from Charlotte. And at first glance, when it first came up on the entry, the judge was like, oh, well, that's really nice. It's just, it's a static ad in a mall. That's okay. They kind of bypassed it. But then we went into the category, and we found out that it was a little bit more. It was action motivated for a new community in Charlotte, and it was all towards a family lifestyle. And so as you were walking by, it would animate. And this one, I think I'll go to. The sounds of kids playing. Just that it was just really sweet, but it had this neat animation. It's the story. This is why we did this, and it grabbed attention. And then they talked about it, and they said, this actually drove 100 buyers out to their community and sold 50 homes. So it was just that. It seems so, like, there's not much there, but yes, it had a lot. So also, learn from that. It's a great trick. I thought that was a great entry. Design centers. If you're submitting for a design centers, sales offices, all of these entries, what they're looking for is they want to really understand not only how beautiful the design center is, what the floor plan, the functionality, they want to know how well it's working, how many sales are coming out, how it's contributing back to the bottom line for that builder. Okay, this year we sold 20% more off of our options. It's really adding to our bottom line. We have, we're selling product from $100,000 to $1 million, so you have a wide range of buyers, and we have to, take care of every element. And so we had one I think it was in Georgia. They decided to do their design center all by rolling digital displays because they were changing their product line so often. So they talked about their product line and how everything was on a digital display and how that was working well for them. Explain how you're using it and why it's working. Outdoor living space. Dispelling the rumor. Outdoor living space is not who has the best backyard. Outdoor living space is how well that outdoor living relates to the interior floor plan, how it expands the living space, how it is a sales point and a differentiator from another floor plan.
Best backyard is landscaping.
Yes, best backyard is best landscaping. That's a different category. There's two categories there. For interior merchandising, floor plans, tell the story again. Walk that judge through the home. Tell them, point out the elements. If you're using great nano doors or other elements, explain to them why that's a great sales point. And hey, listen, by the way, we're also optioning that. That's a $12,000 option, and 60% of the buyers are taking that option. Give us those details and those results. Floor plans. This is a very, what I would say, elaborate floor plan. It literally has the site. It has the call-outs for the rooms. It is scaled with the furniture. It's got every element. This is great. If you have this, if for some reason you have this from your architect or from your landscaper, that's or interior merchandiser, but it's not necessarily the depth that you need to go to. A nice, clean floor plan from your brochure works just as well. Because really, at the end of the day, they're looking to see how it functions as a floor plan for the home, or how the interiors add or enhance that plan to make it sales-worthy. Make sure if you're submitting if you have multiple floors or multiple plans, the judges view the floor plans, they each have their own laptop right in front of them. We're an all paperless judging. And so what they're provided with is a thumb drive with all the floor plans. Each category, they have the floor plans in a folder. And when they open them up, if your floor plan is one PDF and it's scrollable, so all they have to do is scroll to get to the different floors, that's really helpful. Or if you can put all of the floor plans on that one single sheet, that's helpful as well. But if it's really small, that's tough. So it's okay to be scrollable. Just make it easy for them to find it. Think intuitively, like how would I want this to come to me if I had to go through 600 of these things in a day? It just really helps to make the process flow easier. For Community of the Year, many of you guys might be going for Community of the Year this year, remember that there are qualifying categories. I believe there are three or four categories that you have to submit, and then 3 categories that you can choose to. For Community of the Year, you must submit in logo, interior design, and architecture. And then you have your choice of 3 categories of the following. Now you can choose more than those 3, but you have to do at least 3. Brochure, video, direct mail, print ad or campaign, radio, website, special event, social media, email marketing, sales office, and signage. Now that's all on the call for entries. You can go back to that. But the reason I wanted to kind of give you that idea is strategize. Okay, when you're putting that Community of the Year entry together, decide where your strengths are. And you're going to want to submit those categories so you're building a case, because that's just it. You're walking them through, okay, so the kernel, the original intent of this community starts with the logo. We named it, we branded it. Then we came in and we had product, okay, that's the architecture, okay, and then we merchandise it, that's the interior merchandising. Now, how did we get human beings out there and want to buy? You know, your sales office might be a hit. Maybe that's not your hit. Maybe your hit's your website. Maybe it's your digital media. Maybe it's your social media. Maybe you had a real robust social media campaign that drew a lot of traffic. Figure out where those highlights are and go to your strengths. Stay away from weaknesses. If you know, hey, listen, well, our signage program is probably not my favorite. It's there, it's great, but we didn't spend as much money there as we could have, you know, someplace else. Okay, they're going to see it when they tour it. They'll see it. That's okay. But maybe that's not the entry you're going to submit to get points. Okay? Now, as I talked about earlier, all of your entries, if you decide, you can roll over to the nationals. It's a great program. What happens is you click that button. It's right on the entry application. You say Save for Nationals. What happens is after you click that and we get your invoice for the MAME Awards and you're working towards it, you'll get a separate invoice from our team saying, hi, thanks for your entries for the nationals. Here it is, $275 per entry. It's due by October 1st. So it's a great opportunity. Benefit of membership, that's exactly right. And because you're an SMC member, you get the lower pricing. So I have a few samples that we also have in the handout today. And these came actually from the nationals this year. So as you can see, this is literally how the 8 images would appear in that system, okay? And as you can see, the numbering is really very, very important. The sequencing that you put those entries in, this is entry, you know, it starts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You choose, you curate the order in which those images are going to be shown to the judges, okay? So when you're numbering it, take that into effect. Walking through a house, walk through the house. In this was a graphic continuity entry. They wanted to show us the logo, the banners, the colors, and usage. Now, they didn't give us 8 images. They only gave us 6, which is totally fine. Those 2 gray images are something that we put in to just fill the space. Okay, so that comes from us. But if you decide you want to go with up to 8, you can. That'll fill that spot. Here's the points.
If you don't number them correctly, I number them, and I just...
It's dealer's choice.
Whatever the first one is, that's number 1.
Yeah, it's dealer's choice. So curate your entries. This entry, the reason it stood out and why I like to show it is they told the story. Kissing Tree, when it first came up on the first pass through, they're like, Kissing Tree, wow, that's really super branded to Texas. Ha ha, they laughed. But when we came back through and they said, here's the deal. This is a 55 plus buyer who's probably relocating. They may be from Texas, they may not be from Texas. This is in this is San Marcos. San Marcos is outside of Austin. They were talking about the fact that they wanted to ground this as someplace that people were moving to. They wanted to give it that hometown feel. And the reason it was called Kissing Tree is in 1857, Sam Houston stood underneath this big tree when he was running for the governor's race, and he stood there and he kissed all the women. And so it was known on that property as the Kissing Tree. So it grounded it for the local buyer, and it gave the reload buyer this really cute sense. Well, it was a 55 plus buyer, so everybody was like, oh, that's charming. Totally changed the dynamic of that entry because they grounded it. Now this is that same group going for digital marketing. They decided to gang their images onto 4 slides rather than giving us 8. They did that for a reason. They wanted to showcase how the website looked on the computer screen. They wanted to gang all their banners to showcase how they would transition and they would roll. They showcased their social media campaign, and they showcased their YouTube channel. And they talked about it. They talked about their digital media buy, their AdWords, where they bought them. They talked about the fact that this is a new location, the community is grounded in an active adult market. And they talked about over 7 months, this digital ad campaign drove 86,000 total visits, 22,000 paid to the website, 115,000 social media interactions on Facebook. The cost per lead for 5,275 leads was $18.76. Okay? What did they give us here? They gave us so much meat. Those judges were like, yes! They had a complete strategy. They made it work. They were really thoughtful. Again, they didn't fill all eight slides, but they did it, they curated it. They told us the story and they tell us why. So consider that. Now now again, we're building, okay? You can see we're building. They went from logo to digital media. Now we're going to print, the bread and butter, the good old-fashioned print advertising campaign. We had our print ad. Not only did they show it to us, they showed it to us in an actual magazine. How awesome is that? Right-hand page, they show you how beautiful it showed. They showed their adorable outdoor billboards, which they submitted in Billboard, by the way. They showed us their online ads. They showed us their, I believe those are web e-blasts to come to a special event. Welcome our posse. How cute is that? They went back to their website, and then they showcased their other ads. And I'm so sorry, you can't see it here, but you'll see it in your handout. That 7th slide is literally all of the build of the promotions of those series of ads. And they're just really charming. It was actually a great print series. Again, we didn't have that 8th image, so we had the gray. But again, they talked about the sales price was $250,000 to $500,000. They had 18 plans, active adult, and they told their story. They had 65,000 unique visits to the website, 6,200 leads in a 7-month period. Again, grounding it, giving us relevance. For sales office, this was a really interesting entry. This was a new builder. They came out with a new sales office, a new concept. They talked about why they did things different, that it was the first time that they had done something of this nature. They gave us the what, why, and where. And then, interestingly enough, in that 8th slot, they gave us their floor plan. Pretty smart, because it filled the space. And it was sitting right there. And their story was about how this functions better and how they thought about it. And they talked to their sales agents. And this was going to be a great new thing. So, and it was a modular building. So it also set back, this was a trailer. It was pit set. It kind of gave it the ground. But again, think about curating that entry. Think about who you're talking to. Explain the challenge. Interior merchandising. Again, I'll remind you guys, I'm pointing out there, numbering's important. Make sure you follow those numbering, because as you're putting together 20 entries, 10 entries, on our end, we're getting 400. So every little piece is like a grain of sand. If we have to touch it, it can go awry. Make sure you're careful. For interior merchandising, again, walk through the home, talk about those design challenges, talk about what you're going for, and keep it light. Hey, listen, we went light and airy. This is a very Scandinavian type of look. This is what we were trying to go for. And give us that really clear and easy floor plan.
If you're going to use that floor plan strategy as one of your images, make sure you supply it as a JPEG, because they all have to be JPEGs for our system. But also include it as a PDF so that I give it to the judges as well, because you saw how fast we go through. We're not going to sit and hover on the floor plan. You want them to have it on their stick that's in their computer so they can look at it as long as they want to look at it.
As a reinforcement.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a good tip. Images shown on screen, all the images that you're going to submit that are going to be on screen are all JPEG format. All of your plans, all of your forms are PDF. Okay?
So photos of people are
JPEG, exactly.
Not TIFFs.
Not TIFFs,
PNGs.
not PNGs, not GIFs, all these things, weird things we get. For architecture, this is a really great example. So here we had a really nice plan, great architecture, but they went with a different strategy. They weren't going to talk necessarily about the floor plan. They told the story that this was a community that was zoned and permitted before the downturn. And now they were going to revive it, but they had to use the exact same footings and lots that they had to rework. So the plans had to fit the buyer's preferences, but they still had to sit on the already approved footprints of the home. So again, telling us, okay, so we had a challenge here. We had to make something new from what we already had to work with, and that was their strategy, and it worked. They won. So it was one of those things that sets somebody else apart. All right, I open this up to you guys. What can I help you with? And also, if you, as I said before, if you get to a point where if we've not covered something today and you're submitting something, purchasing agent professional achievement entry, email us. We'll send you copies. We'll send you samples. If you're going to be submitting for signage and we didn't see something today, we'll send you samples. Any questions?
Since this is my first time, do you have a list of all the categories somewhere that we can?
Absolutely. So everybody today, what we'll do is we'll send out the call for entries because it's not, it just went up on the website. Actually, it's on the MAME website now, but we can also send that to you as well. And the forms, so you can kind of get a heads up look.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like a preview. So July 31st is the deadline. Again, it's going to be hard and fast, July 31st at midnight. As you're going through and you're thinking about things, as things come about, let us know. Our contact information's there, and hopefully we'll see a lot of entries from all of you.
Where's the event at?
The Sheridan Grand.
Yep.
And there is only a specific number of chairs, I understand. This space maxes out at like 538, something like that. Less than that? 430 something. So here's the deal. If you know that your team is going for this, one, consider how many people you're going to be inviting. Talk about that. Make that strategic decision early. Two, decide if you're going to be a sponsor because sponsors get preferred seating. They get first come, first serve. And sponsorship's a great way of getting to the front of the room rather than the back of the room. And it's also, you get all those benefits. And it's just, that's the best way of handling it. Because once it sells out, it's sold out. There's not much we can do. There's only so many bodies we can get in there. Yes?
So if you want to enter, because we're an architecture firm,
Mm-hmm.
you want to do architectural design,
Mm-hmm.
the person that's built it, do they have to be a member of the BIA?
Christopher, do you have an answer for that? Does the builder have to be a member of the
It
BIA?
has to be a member.
The builder does need to be a member. Thank you so much. I was unclear of that. So do all builder and all associates need to be members, or just the builder and the associate that's...
If the builder is submitting, any associates that are non-members just don't get listed.
They don't get listed, okay.
But if it's a builder, if you're submitting for architecture or something like that, and the builder is not a member, the associate can't, so like an agency can't submit a best ad for a non-member builder.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, it's a benefit of membership.
For the professional achievement,
Mhm.
does the person have to be a member of SMC?
In certain categories, it does require, and it's marked on the call for entries, and there is a link in case they aren't to have them join. It's $85. It's totally worth it. I believe it's a calendar year membership,
Yeah.
so you get the full 12 months. And
It's
yes,
like,
I'm thinking
escrow or superintendents purchasing, those are non-SMC.
yeah, and they're called out on the call for entries which ones you do have to be a member of. $1 Million Sales Achievement Awards. This year, in the past, it's been, you could do it individual and or team. This year, we took the team away. It's just individual, so you don't have that confusion of that how much did the team do, how much did the individual. It's that single person. And so you can run that escrow report for the time period and get that number. And then the highest dollar volume will be the Golden Sammy, I believe is the. So don't forget to do that early. That's usually at the last minute. You go, oh, we're still running the report. We're not sure if they're in this level or that level. So,
And if you're submitting salespeople, make sure they're SMC members now.
okay. Yes, sign them up now. And if you have any questions about membership, you can talk to Angela. I'm sure she can give you guys a report on anybody who is or isn't. So you can get them all, pay with one check, all that kind of good stuff. Everything is paid by an invoice. So you can actually probably talk, when you're putting your entry together, she could probably put your invoice together for your entry fees and your memberships so that you can pay in one fell swoop if that's easier for your accounting departments. So, John, anything else?
I think that's it. Thank you guys very much for coming out today. Thank you for, hopefully this was a very helpful session for you guys as you're doing your entries. And once again, Reggie just stepped out, but thanks to Reggie Conley from Ames Friends Insurance for hosting lunch. great meeting. So thank you all very much.
And remember, you cannot win if you don't enter. So you have to put the entry in. Good luck, everybody.